Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and welcome to my Star Citizen Orgy. So, why are there so many people excited about Star Citizen? Well, it's never been done before. There's a lot of new ideas. It's on a huge scale, large scale, huge content. It's endless possibilities. Also, with no publisher, CIG can take the $1,378,909 and growing and use it all for game development. None of it will go to publishers. With over 113,866,475 backers, people are excited and have joined in Chris Roberts' vision. And it's still an alpha. So where will it go when it's public? And so here are some of the reasons why people are excited. All right, the first thing is FPS combat. Yeah, the game's going to have quite a bit of FPS aspects, some elements of a first-person shooter in there. Some of the things that we know about our FPS combat is the armor. It's going to be layered. So you're going to be able to put armor on top of armor. And that way you can build your own armor sets. There's going to be planetary combat, shipboard combat, there's combat on stations, combat in deep space, just floating out in space, EVA. You're going to have combat with other players, you're going to have combat with AI, and you're going to have combat with alien races. You're even going to have combat, possibly, with fauna, or we'll say animals on planets. Like, wouldn't it be cool to be on a planet exploring some ruins and a tiger jumps out and attacks you? Or an alien tiger. Or you have to hunt alien tiger for a mission. There's going to be slug weapons, energy weapons, rocket launchers, rail guns, hand grenades, grenade launchers, microwave guns. There's going to be like deployable claymores, holograms. I could go on. So that's going to appeal to all you FPS players. There's also space flight sim. You can have 1, 2, or even more players on one ship. You can have a crew of hundreds on a ship. With some of the big capital ships. There's scores of ships, ranging from, like I said, a little snub fighter, maybe a single-seat fighter, two-seat fighter, all the way up to a carrier or a battleship. There's going to be huge maps to fly around in. There's going to be dozens of ship weapons, ranging from slug throwers, mass drivers, missiles. And then there's also going to be an element of the game where you have electronic warfare. You're going to have scanners and jammers and things like that. And then you have boarding actions. So some of these bigger ships you can actually dock with. Or if they have a hangar, you could land in them and deploy your Marines or your friends that are in the back of your ship. And they can engage in first-person combat on board this ship. The seamless transition from flying to FPS. There's going to be shields. Your ships will have shields, a lot like what you see in Star Wars or what have you, where you can actually fly and land in a hangar even though the hangar doors are open. You still won't be exposed to vacuum because the shields will be there to prevent that. Different modes of travel in space. You're going to have quantum travel, which is basically 0.2 the speed of light to get from planet to planet inside of a solar system. You'll be able to jump. There's going to be wormholes that you can take from system to system. And then, of course, you got your maneuvering thrusters, or your space combat maneuvering thrusters, where you can actually just fly around dogfighting. That's a big portion of this game. And you'll be able to fly in 6 degrees of freedom. So forwards, backwards, left, right, up and down. Right? You can maneuver your thrusters and drift, or you can roll and fly and it's just going to be, there's all kinds of different flight modes that you can try out in Star Citizen. That's very appealing to your flight sim players. And it's in space, so it's not, a lot of games out there do flight sims in space, but they don't do it realistically or with any kind of real life physics involved. So the weight of your ship will impact how fast you can turn, the amount of thrust that your thrusters put out will affect how you turn. If you add a big gun, it's going to slow you down. If you put light guns on, you might go faster. If you strip off the missiles and don't use missiles, or once you fire your missiles, your ship's going to perform differently. That is super exciting. Okay, but it's more than just combat. It's more than just FPS and flight combat. I said flight sim because You do have to fly from point A to point B, sometimes not engaging in combat, because there's a lot of other aspects of Star Citizen. You have a shopping experience. Okay, now I say shopping, but I'm including all your mercantile activities with that. So, like, you can buy and sell commodities, like you can buy cargo and then you could fly it over to another planet and you can sell it for a profit. You can buy ships, hangar flare, which is basically just like knickknacks, different types of armor pieces and armor sets, possibly, weapons, all different kinds of weapons, clothes, hats, shoes, jackets, pants, all that stuff. You can get components for your ships like coolers, bigger engines, smaller engines, thrusters, computer scanners, all kinds of different things. You can have different types of hangars, and you can put these hangars on different planets, rent space on different planets, or buy space. There's going to be player-ran shops, so you're going to be able to purchase your own or rent your own shop on a planet, open up business. And then there's going to be AI shops that you can visit and buy stuff from. There's also going to be alien shops. Like if you go to an alien planet, they're going to have their own shops, and you're going to maybe find some stuff there that you can't find anywhere else. You're going to be able to buy parts for your ships, repair parts. You're going to have to buy parts, fuel, ammo, missiles, life support, all this docking fees, all that kind of stuff. Any repair charges. Yeah, you're going to need to spend for that. So you're going to need to earn for that too. There's going to be piracy, and I put that under shopping because you're going to buy cargo to carry it to the next planet, and some pirate's going to come steal it from you. Those pirates can either be players or computer-generated AI. Also included under shopping is reconstructive surgery. If you want to change your appearance, physical appearance, like your facial features and stuff like that, you can go to a surgeon and have that changed. That is nice. Also, what you can also do is you can craft. Just like any MMO, you're going to have the ability to craft, but in Star Citizen, it's not going to be one of these known recipes that you go to the auction house and buy a recipe and then get the ingredients and bang on an anvil and combine them. No, it's not going to be like that. It'll be similar. What you'll have is a workbench, and you will have to experiment on your own to figure out what components would be best to combine to make the best enhancement for maybe a laser. Let's say you've got a laser, you want to make it better. You bring it over to your workbench. You decide you're going to cross the wires. You cross the wires, and there'll be a little mini game, and that mini game will help the game determine how skilled you are at enhancing that device. Now, once you figure out what the combinations are that give you the best results, you can, here we go, sell that and become rich off of your discovery, or you can hold on to it and make people come to you, kind of like a patent, where you're going to hold on to that information and say, hey, I can give you a plus 13 laser, it'll give you 13 extra energy output, and this is how many credits it costs. And players will come to you to get that. You just have to advertise an announcement. Okay, so right there we know our first profession would be like a mechanic, where you can actually enhance engines, coolers, shields, guns, thrusters, all kinds of ship components, but also FPS items too. Like you want that grenade to explode twice as big, or if you want more fragments to come out, or whatever. There's lots of different ideas and concepts that you can use, and will most likely be in the game. I want to talk about professions because Star Citizen is fairly unique in that you do not pick a class. You are not a paladin. You are not a ranger. You are not a sorcerer or a fighter or whatever they use in these MMOs. You are just who you are. You decide what you want to call yourself. Do you want to be a miner? Just tell people you're a miner. Do you want to be an explorer? Then just tell people you're an explorer. But you want to also perform duties and tasks that relate to those professions, but that's up to you. If you want to be an explorer one day and a miner the next, you go for it. Do it. It's all up to you. It's open. And here are some of the career paths that they recommend or they suggest will be available But you don't have to lock yourself into any one of these. And there's nothing saying that you will be given only certain mission chains because you claim to be a salvager, but that might be true. We'll have to figure that one out. But you can be, like I said, a salvager. You could be that mechanic we talked about. You can be a miner. Okay, and I don't mean a youngster. I mean someone who goes to an asteroid or a planet and you mine resources and minerals, and then you process them and ship them off to be used by factories. Okay, then we got the explorer. He's going to go out and discover things, but not just that. He's going to record and document certain things, like a suggested plan or a mission that they revealed was there was going to be a comet flying through a planetary system, and they're going to hire people, we'll call them explorers, to go out and take pictures of this comet. It's an exploration type mission, but you're not discovering anything new per se, but they do want to get these pictures. They want to get maybe some soil samples from an asteroid, or they might want you to go to another planet and like document what kind of plants you see or what kind of animals you see and test the water and stuff like that. You're kind of like a scout in a way. That's pretty cool. Then they got security forces where you can offer your services to protect cargo shipments or planetary installations or anything like that. And then you got info runner. He's basically someone who carries the mail. So basically he delivers computerized emails from planet to planet. You can't email it because you're going through a wormhole, and sometimes they will send a drone, but those are automated. If it's a super secret piece of information, they're going to want a courier, and that's what the info runner is. Then you got bounty hunter. So there's going to be criminals in the game. Players like you do something that we shouldn't have done, maybe robbed from someone who was actually a good person or something like that. We'll get a bounty on our heads. The game will generate it, or other players will generate it. And then these bounty hunters will go in and try to cash in on that. Or if you want to be that person to go out and stop these pirates, you can chase after AI pirates or player pirates. And those missions could be generated by the advocacy, other players, corporations, who knows? The Merchants Guild could be one. You could be an engineer. And I say engineer in the fact that if you have a multi-crew ship, and that means like you have a ship that requires more than one crew member, you might want to hire other players to get on your ship to be your engineer. You might want to hire other AI to get on your ship and be an engineer, because you might need an engineer. You need pilots, or you can be a pilot, or a medic. And I say medic, but I mean like ship's doctor, or who knows what. You might be a combat medic for FPS. Another great thing about this game is the fact that, first of all, it's a space game. So if it's a space game, you're going to need big maps, right? Because space is endless. Well, they've announced that they're going to be able to do full-size systems. That is pretty impressive. That means if you've got a 9-planet system, you're going to be able to see 9 planets. The planets are going to be 1-to-1 scale, so they're going to be big planets. They're going to be procedurally generated planets, but they're not going to be like 50% size or 1/3 size like the original plan. They've actually changed it to full-size solar system. Think about this. Now this is a little math, but I'm going to put it on the screen for you. Some systems are going to have 6 or more worlds in them. Some worlds are going to have 3 or more landing locations or focus points. Now you can land anywhere, but and that's pretty impressive alone just there, that you could land anywhere on the planet. But there's going to be certain areas on the planet that are going to be fully developed for you to explore and participate, like shops and stuff like that. Because when Earth goes out and colonizes all these planets, it doesn't completely cover them in settlements like Earth, right? When you go to an alien planet, you usually set up certain areas that are points of interest, and the rest is pretty much wilderness, unless the planet's been around a long, long time. And in that case, then it might be completely covered in population. But okay, back to that. We got some systems have 6 worlds, some worlds have 3 or more zones. They've announced that there's going to be over 120 systems. If you do the math, approximately 1,000 prime locations with dozens of other locations for you to visit. So, and this is in a system. So you're looking at, you're going to be able to maybe go to a ruins, you're going to be able to go to a spaceport. or maybe there's going to be an asteroid field that you can go to, or a comm array, or maybe there's going to be a observation station, or maybe there's going to be some kind of cargo hub. Yeah, I'm just throwing some things out. But there's going to be a lot of those types of areas in systems. So just imagine there's going to be approximately 3,000 locations for you to visit, unique locations for you to visit and check out and see. And that's why I say the endless, endless. If it goes on for 10 years and I visit one location a day, every day, it'll be almost impossible for me to hit every single location. That's just crazy. Another feature that people are excited about is if you discover a new solar system, you will be able to name it. Or if you find a jump point, you can sell that information of where that location is, or you can hold it and keep it for your friends. There's going to be aliens that you might discover either on the planet or maybe in space, maybe a whole new spacefaring race. You know, maybe you'll be able to have your first encounter with them, be first contact. That's going to be exciting. There's going to be a reputation system, good and bad, for players. So you're going to have a reputation in amongst the law enforcement, really. And the criminal elements. They're going to say, oh, he's a really mean criminal, or he's a really good character, like he always follows the law, or something like that. So with that reputation system, we'll also maybe open up possibilities for certain mission types, so that you can, if you're a really horrible criminal, then maybe somebody that needs an assassin will come hire you to go do something. You've got what's called a PvP slider. What a PvP slider is you'll be able to, on your character, slide a bar saying how much PvP you want. Do you want to be a player versus environment player, or do you want to be player versus player? And if you decide that you don't want a lot of PvP, then the system will try to give you PvE missions. But that doesn't mean you won't encounter a pirate out in the wilderness somewhere. That you still can have PvP, everything is open to PvP, but there might be consequences for engaging someone in close combat in controlled space. Speaking of which, there is permadeath. So permadeath means if you do something that gets you killed, you can respawn, and you'll respawn at the last hospital location that you visited. So like if you are in Stanton and you go to ArcCore, you don't actually have to visit the hospital, but if you're on ArcCore and then you take off and you fly out into space and then someone blows you up, then you'll just respawn back at the Stanton ArcCore hospital. That will cost you to be respawned or rejuvenated, right? Well, your body can only be rejuvenated a number of times, and they said 5, 6, 7 times, something like that. And then after that, you can't be rejuvenated. And if you can't be reincarnated, then you will have to play another character. So you will have an heir, and that'll be on your profile. You'll have an heir that takes over your belongings and you restart. What's good about that is the only real thing that happens is you just change your name. Because you don't have any skill points, no levels, you're not leveling up a character. Everything is based on your knowledge and your ability to play in dogfighting and things like that. So your character doesn't actually have any stats that you can affect. So by making a new character, you're not really changing any. But you will be taxed for dying. There will be some kind of an inheritance tax. There will also be possibly a delay in delivery of your equipment. There will probably also be a reputation impact to your character, and of course your name will have to be changed. And a lot of people get fond of their names, and so when they get that changed, then that might be impactful for somebody. That might cause people to rethink how they want to play this game. Right now we are testing the combat system, but that doesn't mean you're always going to be fighting in the persistent universe. Your ships will have insurance. Now a lot of these ships now that you back for, you get what's called lifetime insurance with those. I'm sure that you are going to be able to buy lifetime insurance. It's just going to have price to it. And I'm sure you're going to be able to buy a monthly insurance, and it's going to have a price to it once the game starts. What that insurance does, and you also buy component insurance, but right now insurance is not really fully realized. But what we're going to see is you're going to blow your ship up, and then the insurance company is going to replace it, and they're going to have to figure out a way to prevent that from being exploited. Now, once the game goes live and it's in full public consumption, there's still going to be Arena Commander, which is the sim mode. You're still going to be able to fly in a sim, practicing your dogfighting and your combat skills without risking your life or without risking your ship's life, because remember, you got to have insurance to get your ship back, and plus you've got permadeath, so you don't want to do that. So the sim is still going to be there for you to utilize to develop your skills. Also, you're going to be able to fly against all different kinds of aliens and other players, and you'll be able to do first-person combat in Star Marine and all that. And you'll also be able to play a game called Saddleball. Saddleball is kind of like Rollerball in Zero G, and it's also a little bit like the game you saw in Ender's Game, where you do some Zero G combat with guns and boxes floating in midair and stuff like that, and throw a ball around. It's pretty exciting. I'm excited to get that into my hands so that I can see how that goes. Plus, there's racing. There's going to be racing in the real persistent universe, where you can actually race other players for consequences and money. But there's also going to be simulated races where you could practice your racing skills. This wouldn't be a very complete game without organizations, guilds, clans, squadrons, whatever you want to call them. In Star Citizen, they're called orgs, or organizations. CIG plans to give each org their own website, which they already have, their own management and administrative tools on their website. They're going to give them their own organizational chat, their own organizational message system, and you'll be able to do taxing on your members, and you'll have a treasury for your organization. You'll even be able to have a organization hangar so that you can have multiple ships for loan. There's a lot of things that organizations are going to be able to do in Star Citizen, and Chris wants to give these organizations a lot of tools to make their gameplay exciting. Now, hopefully they're going to have big bases. I really am excited about that. There's also going to be a social aspect to Star Citizen. Right now, I've kind of talked about all the hostility stuff, but there's going to be friendly social aspect to this game. Just like any MMO, you're going to have dancing, you're going to have drinking, you're going to have emotes like waving and yelling and lying down and doing push-ups or whatever. There's going to be all different kinds of emotes. And you'll be able to, role play if you want, go to a bar, maybe go to a hangar somewhere or somewhere like that, and you're going to have all different kinds of social opportunities. And that's really and the way they describe how you're going to interact with AI and players is that when you walk up to somebody, you're going to have a thought bubble appear over over their head, and you're going to have multiple thoughts, and what those are options. So you're going to be able to say, hey, how's it going? Or F you, get out of my face, or whatever, right? And then once you select that for that person, that AI, they will forever treat you in a certain way. It is like first impressions, man, first impressions. So if you walk up into a bar and you go up to some shady character in the corner and you say, and one of your thought bubbles are, hey, you want to go rob a bank, and you choose that, and then he wound up being an undercover advocacy agent, well, now you're screwed, right? So you got to really, kind of think, and there's a little bit of espionage going on in that. And also, speaking of that, just going to jump off topic for a second, there's a lot of organizations out there that are specifically geared to gathering information for other organizations. That's pretty cool. Star map. Right now, they have a star map, a web-based star map that you can check out all the different solar systems, all the different planets, and check out like what kind of atmosphere they have, a little bit of the history, the lore. And that's another thing. The lore team has really written out an extensive lore, and they're growing it daily. I mean, I'm sure they're writing stories constantly, coming up with new missions, new history, background for this universe. It's been going on for 5 years probably now. They've been writing this lore. Okay, now let's talk about AI. Okay, the AI in this game is being done by Kythera over in the UK, and they are doing an outstanding job. They're building up the AI in that they're not going to be stupid AI like you see in a lot of games. Like I've seen AI in some games, they'll run up to a doorway, but once you step through that door, the AI doesn't follow you and they go back to where they were. Where these AI will just open that door and come after you. You know, they don't care. You know, that's good. Or if you run around the building and you lose them, they will kind of search the area for you and try to find you. They're not just going to give up and go back to their spawn point. And that's another thing. They don't have spawn points. Okay, so then you got AI pilots, you got pirates, smugglers, aliens, both friendly and hostile aliens. You have muggers, so you might be in an alleyway and then get mugged. There's going to be shopkeepers, just pedestrians walking the streets, flying the space lanes. You're going to have crew that you can either hire for your ship or just on the planet, just be hanging out. You got mercenaries, cops, the military, criminals, explorers, miners, salvagers, medical. The list goes on. I just stopped writing right there. Okay, now here's the most important thing. This is one of the most important things to me anyway. It's a living and breathing universe. Basically, they're going to have a server that keeps track of all the major events that take place in the game and the minor events. That's what's key. If you rescue a pirate or rescue a player from pirates, now the universe knows this, and that might impact, well, first of all, it's going to impact that crew, how they appreciate you. It's also going to, maybe they were carrying medical supplies to a planet. That planet's going to like you. That planet is now, if those medical supplies never made it to that planet, the computer would have killed a bunch of people for diseases or whatever. But now that those medical supplies make it to the planet, the computer, the server, will not kill those people. So what you do actually impacts what happens in the universe. What they were talking about doing was having for every player, which right now we've got over 1,300,000 players signed up for this game, there's going to be 20 to 1 AI. Actually more than 20 to 1. The 20 to 1 that they're talking about are the active participants in the universe. And I say active participants when I don't mean a shopkeeper. He does not count as one of the 20 to 1. A checkpoint guard, a customs guard, those guys, they don't count. It's the guys that are out roaming the space lanes like merchants and pirates and police and the military. All those guys out in space that or on planet that are either helpful or antagonizing. There's going to be 20 of those for every player. Also, what they wanted to do was make it hard for you to tell if someone was a player. So if you look at them, it's not going to say, hey, I'm a player. Or it's not going to give you their name. It's not, because if it did, you'd probably know immediately that it was a player, because it'll be like cockballs or something, and then you'll say, oh, he's a player, because no AI is going to be named cockballs. So if you having a hard time determining if they're players or if they're an AI, that might impact how you interact with them. There's going to be companies out there, a number of different companies that are going to, there's hundreds of companies, probably thousands of companies that are going to be hiring you out to do certain missions and things like that. But here's two examples right here, Big Benny's and Pip's Power Up. And there will be so many more than that. And that only glazed the top of the surface. There is probably a whole lot of things that I forgot to talk about, and I do apologize for that. But Star Citizen is going to be so epic. It's basically going to be an MMO, first-person shooter, flight sim, economy simulator, world simulator. It's just going to be sandbox. It's going to be everything. I think they need to develop, because this is such a new game, I think, or new concept, I think they're going to need to come up with a new name for this type of game, because I suspect there's going to be a lot more games like this depending on the success of Star Citizen. And that's another reason why so many people are so excited about this game coming out. So let's just toss out some names. Do you think it should be considered a universe simulator, or just consider it a sim, a space sim, a universe sim, I don't know what it could be considered. It'd just be basically a sci-fi sim. I don't know. Put it in the comments. I'd be appreciative to see what you guys have to say about that. All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming out and checking out this video. I look forward to seeing you in the verse. If you're interested, I do have a referral in the comments below. If you use that referral code when you join Star Citizen, you'll actually get 5,000 UEC. That's real money in the game, and you'll have that permanently. That's not considered an alpha UEC or anything. That is actually UEC that you will have in the game. If I can get, I think it's 5 people to sign up under my name, I think I get 2 lasers. If I can get more people, I might get more lasers or maybe a buggy or something. So please use my referral code if you haven't already joined and if you're interested in it. If you have any questions or you want to ask me about Star Citizen, I do quite a few live streams on YouTube. So join me there and chat with me, and any donations to the channel would be helpful. All right, guys, I'll see you in the verse.